good afternoon, everyone, or morning, whatever. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and yes, folks, it is finally cool enough for me to actually put a t-shirt on, thank God. I was freaking dying there, just dying. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers and the usual shouts out, because mother of God, I'm tired of it being shoved in my face. I don't want to have commentary on it. Yeah. All right. If I tell you that I am tired of seeing the royal family drama on every single TL that I own, in spite of me having blocked everything that has to do with them, I'm tired. Both sides are petty. Both sides are playing fast and loose with the truth. Let's start to be the... Fine, crucify me, I don't care. In regards to Markle, do I believe for 2 seconds that these people actually want no publicity? No. They go out of their way to court publicity. Most celebrities are trying to get away from the paparazzo. These people look for them and then act like they're oppressed when they find them. I can see that as clear as day. Have they made up scenarios? Sure they have. So is the majority of the politicians any of us anywhere around the world has to deal with. But then there's the other side. Markle needs to get a job and stop living off the royal family. Girl goes and gets a job. How dare she get a job using the name of the royal family? You hear yourselves? Do you hear yourselves? Both sides attack the kids constantly from, we're not sure if the kids are real surrogate or if they're playing Rent-A-Baby. What? What? How's any of this acceptable? Since when is it okay to drag kids into the mess of adults? Nobody likes that. At least not in the real world. It should be a general rule, and it sure as hell used to be that kids of parties at war were off limits. But you got each side taking pot shots off the offspring of the other side all day, every day, goddamn always. They throw around autism like it's a slur to slap it on one child or the other. People calling for the disinheritance of kids. And granted, I'm American, and I'm a daughter of the revolution. But if you want to talk about tearing down of the royal family over this crap, you're insane. I would be behind you if you had some actual legitimate reasons. If it wasn't just you wanted to be a part of this freaking soap opera hell that we've all been dragged into by the media and everyone else who keeps feeding the media. Okay? There's no right or wrong side. There's only, just again, another overblown popularity contest. And if you don't see that, you're blind. Okay? Markle may have her faults. But when you scream at her that she's just living off the royalties of the royal family, girl gets a job. How dare she get a job due to her association with the royal family? Not everything has to do with them. Okay, Karen, calm down. Calm down. Because I don't think that the people that are so vehemently against her would approve of anything she does until she's out on the street. They don't approve of anything that she does. And having lived that life, autistic here, how could I have not have lived that life for the good majority of my life? There's a reason why I stopped caring, folks. Oh, who am I kidding? I never did. Because nobody's ever going to be happy with you. There is no pleasing people. They're going to rail, they're going to chant, they're going to come against you, they're going to come against your family. Again, I've lived it. I know I've said it before, but I'm a semi-public figure. It has happened to me and mine. It's just the difference between us and those of more high profile is we just stopped caring. And it is bizarre to me because it's been this worldwide Team Sussex, Team Wells. Do you all have nothing else to do? Last time I checked, the lockdown is over. Go out there, live your own lives. Quit taking pot shots at people you do not know, whose private lives you do not understand. And quit dragging us through it. Well, this one's pretty, this is not pretty, this one's balding, that one's balding. Who cares? This world has devolved into one gigantic high school. And everybody on social media has turned into the role of the mean girls. Okay? I'm not on either side. Thankfully, I don't have to be. My family was a part of making sure that I didn't have to care about the royal family. Or any splits, or any feuds. Okay? They shed blood. They died. They sacrificed. They risked it all. And now, because of worldwide media, I get inundated with day after day after day of crap. I don't need to know their dirty laundry. It does not in any way, shape, or form affect my life in any way whatsoever. But I know hypocrisy when I see it. And whether it's one side or the other, I will call it out. I do not think it's okay that those who support Markle continuously attack the royal kids, throwing around autism as though it's a slur. No, that's when you and me and you, we're going to have a conversation and we have problems. Okay? Because you're not just slighting them, you're slighting us. And you're doing it on a world stage. Who the hell do you think you are? That you are so involved with this drama that has nothing to do with you, that you feel it's okay to throw millions of people underneath the bus because you want to slight another team's kids. It's insane. On the other hand, on the other side, when you obsess about, are they surrogates? Are they adopted? Da, 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 da. Why do you care? What does this have to do with you? These are not the royals of King Henry VIII's era, okay? They can't send out troops to take care of you because you don't agree with them. This is not the medieval or even the Renaissance era. Okay? Seriously? It's tired. It's old. And as long as the public continues to fuel this insanity, it's just going to continue. You want these people on both sides to go along and move on with their lives? Stop perpetuating it. You're not helping. You're simply rubbing salts in wounds. You're not allowing for any healing or room for reconciliation. You're continuing the feud and pouring gasoline on a fire. Okay? It's tired. It's old. All right? You attack each other relentlessly like mean girls in high school. I know, because I was a target. I was target number one. As a semi-public figure, it got worse. It only got better once we stopped caring. Okay? It's ridiculous. Stop perpetuating it. Stop with your hot take tweets. Stop with Prince is doing this and Harry's doing this. Who cares? Why do you care? Does this affect you? Does it affect your family? All right? There's a difference between defamation lawsuits, because I know some of you could throw that arrow at me, JD versus AH. Okay, here's a major difference. That is a neurodivergent man who was dragged through the mud, vilified, and turned into a monster by the media. Just like the rest of us neurodivergent folk has had to put up with our entire lives, in particular every April. Okay? We have hundreds of neurodivergent and otherwise disabled folk who are murdered by their significant others every single year. Every year. He became real close to getting on that disabilitymemorial.org, is all I'm saying. That's not me in regards to sticking my nose into a stranger's business. That's me fighting for my own kind, which does affect me. Those laws affect us. They are used as a bludgeon against us, okay? Things that are not talked about. Things that are swept underneath the rug. And this continued vitriol towards all men and accusation equals proof basically affects us all. That's the difference. All right, now to the disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to find the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included the Ozarks' first article in regards to Agape Boarding School, now known as Stone for Help Boarding School, although it looks like only on paper because it never was able to jump off and into existence, thank God for small favors. A so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that took in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor still on the premises with full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do its job, and a governor off his nut, so send help Read that article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there, Autistica is, all the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistica's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, any ever-present self-explanatory Change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured, abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? All right, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion, obviously, and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. Where we left off, again, we're reading BRI versus Leonard. This is a New York law review done back in the 80s. Trigger warning. This is written very much in the favor of the JRC and Aversives. BRI is the JRC. That was their name before they changed it after the judge that gave them their godforsaken consent decree back in the 80s. You're going to hear slights against us. You're going to hear violence against people like me being justified because behaviors. You're going to hear all kinds of crap, so just be prepared for that, all right? All right, significant issues of the case. Is the family court the proper forum to hear this dispute? OC raised this standard procedural issue and argued that BRI should have exhausted the administrative procedures provided by the regulations promulgated by the OFC licensing agency. You know, the people that are supposed to have the authority over you to look after those kids and make sure that their mental health and physical health was being looked over. This court stripped that office and every incarnation since then of that same office, of that authority when it comes to the JRC. They're not allowed to regulate shit, to put it bluntly. Okay? Again, Glenda Cook, Dr. Israel, your argument of, well, obviously it's safer, we wouldn't be licensed, doesn't apply when you got them over a barrel with the consent decree. Again, offices like mine, this is an equal office to like the one I worked in my state, do not have access to unlimited funds to fight Goliaths in the form of the JRC, okay? We get more and more money taken out of the budget every single year, and we're already, majority of the time, working on a shoestring budget, all right? Just want to get that point across. While OFC maintained that a probate court's jurisdiction did not encompass the authority to rescind orders of an administrative agency, BRI, the parents and the wards countered that the probate courts are given the general equity of power to act in emergency situations. In other words, the JRC does not feel like the people that were put in power as an office, as a means to oversee and the authority to act in the best interest of the mental and physical health of the students, should not be able to exercise their authority over them. Because they self-harm. And what if they hurt themselves? So your equivalent is, why not let the BRI do it for me? This is the argument. The Massachusetts Appellate Court supported the position that the judicial intervention was necessary to maintain the status quo until there has been a full hearing on the many difficult issues of first impression, which is insane, folks. We're going to allow the abuse of these children to continue to go on with impunity until we hear that it's bad. How stupid do you have to be to not be able to figure out that torture is bad? I mean, this lawyer, should I take him to go, in a time machine back to Guantanamo? Would that maybe get the point across? We do not allow this to happen to war criminals.
Torture's great. Look at how many witches confessed.
Massachusetts, we're eyeballing you. What are you known for around the world? Well, I've been to other places in the globe. You want to know the first thing they think of when they think about the United States? Massachusetts. Salem. Yeah. Just saying. Is adversive therapy a suitable type of treatment? Adversive therapy is a behavior modification program used to control undesirable conduct. Those institutions who use this technique generally do so in lieu of antipsychotic drugs, electroshock, restraint, seclusion, all which are accepted forms of a treatment for severely disoriented, self-abusive, violent persons. That's a lie. Because as of 1988, remember, that was the beginning of the more progressive treatments. That was the introduction time of positive behavioral reinforcement, something that literally every single other state was implementing at the time. That is a bald-faced lie. And by the way, the demonization of antipsychotic drugs, I can think of 2 individuals right off the top of my head that those drugs actually saved their lives. They're not comatose. They're able to function now. Like the person I mentioned previously who believed without his medication that he was Elvis. Like the person I have mentioned before, Miss Josie. Those drugs allow that woman to be able to function in society without, you don't want to know. Let's just put it that you don't want to know. And just kind of leave it there. And she is a friend, folks. I'm not saying anything about the woman that she wouldn't say to your face about herself unprompted.
She's a lovely person when she's on her meds.
Antipsychotic drugs are not the boogeyman. But they're comatose, doing nothing, and just sitting there, staring. Yeah, if you're not doing your due diligence, you can't expect doctors to be psychic.
If they get your dosage wrong, you're comatose, staring off into space.
Talk to your doctors, people. They're not psychic. They can't know that something is affecting you in a not so wonderful manner and turning you and basically into a non-feeling zombie unless you tell them so. Which is why I was eventually let off of Zoloft, because that's what it turned me into, an unfeeling, unemotional zombie. And I love that they use terms like electroshock here, because what is the JRC now known as? The School of Shock. You gotta love irony, right? But there's no other way. There's 1,000 different ways. And I know this because I worked in the field. Even during this time in 1988, we had positive behavior reinforcement coming into the forefront. Very beginnings, that's true. But it was having a lot better results than punishing us for existing. Because that's what this is, folks. It's punishing us for existing. It's not dealing with the problem. It's beating the problem to death. It doesn't work that way. You can't beat the autism out of me. You can't beat the schizotypal out of Paul. You can't beat the ADHD out of my friend Sydney. It's not how any of this works, Karen. Okay? There is no question that those afflicted with self-destructive, life-threatening behavior and extreme levels of violence are in need of treatment, even to survive an institutionalized setting. Here we go, demonizing us again. Paul, didn't you know that I planned to grab your samurai sword and just go lopping down heads up and down the street later today?
Well, we've got like a variety of swords for you to pick from. You don't have to pick one of the samurai swords. You could pick the two-handed broadsword, or we have two different battle axes. You have options, dear.
Always meet your people, folks. You can find a lot of your interesting fellow nerd friends out there on Smoke Deck. It's a beautiful thing. Just saying. Anyways, it's demonization, folks. It's turning us into Hannibal Lecter because we may stim in a way that makes you uncomfortable and embarrassed. It's see through as glass. Am I telling you we don't self-harm? Yeah, we do. So do neurotypicals. Don't see you doing that with them. But not to that extreme. You ever see what a drug overdose looks like? That is a version of self-harm. Just saying. The controversy arises over what is the best treatment in the short run with prospects for long-term benefits for the patient, his family, and the community. If you think torture has a long-term benefit, then I'm not the one who's cracked here. Yes, lifelong post-traumatic stress disorder on top of all my other issues. It is so wonderful for my family and the community.
Honestly, if you think about it logically, long-term torture would just build up resentment, which would result in future, even more violent behavior.
Logic! The debate is whether or not aversive therapy is a form of treatment or its punishment and within the powers of a state agency to prohibit. So we are not going to allow anyone to have the authority to be able to look after the mental health and physical health of kids, because then you might not be able to try to control autistic and otherwise neurodivergent people through threat of force. Cute, isn't it? Because you got to control us, Paul. Didn't you know that? We might get crazy ideas like logic and facts and evidence matter. We may even troll our politicians because it's Tuesday and we're bored.
Well, I mean, it's not Tuesday, but I am bored, so I may go troll some politicians here in a minute.
Please, for the love of God, troll Elon. Do it for all of us. No, seriously, my problems with Elon go way before anything JD versus AH. I got a bone to pick with that man. If I ever met him in the person, I would have to resist very, very, very strongly the violent urge to, sucker punch him in the gut.
Well, my thing with Elon Musk is if you actually look at his work history and, his actual background, he's not a genius. The only thing he's good at is capitalizing on other people's success.
And he wants to put a brain chip in my brain to make me not autistic. Excuse me. If you were at my door, I'm just saying. For all the autistic community and his ableist crap. All right, we're going to close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. See you next vid. Bye-bye.
As a side note, a journalist pointed out recently that this isn't the first time that Elon Musk has tried to rebrand a service, X.
Okay, well, let's talk about Twitter right before we close, since Paul brought it up. Who the hell takes a brand name that is known worldwide and decides to throw it in the trash can? Now we'll see. Bye-bye, folks.